I've thought of questions that are really powerful in terms of helping me to get in and figure out more about this person. And that's what I would say is if you're a person, a woman especially, but who is thinking that they need to raise their standards, probably you need to dig a little bit deeper the first few interactions you have with the guy. And if you have some idea of like what your preferences are, then it just gives you a better direction of where to dig. So that's why, for example, the picky eater thing, for me, is a great question because it allows me to sort of an entryway into finding out about them more and in a way that's useful for me. But maybe that isn't, as useful for somebody else. Maybe for somebody else, they might ask questions like, why do you do the job that you do? Right? Maybe that's a better entry question for them. As a woman, for example, that might be a good entry question because maybe you're trying to figure out, is this a guy who is ambitious for money? Is he ambitious for status? Is he ambitious in the sense that he is responding, his job is about a certain calling that he has in life? And about some kind of mission that he's hoping to accomplish, and this is kind of a step in that direction. That kind of a question might be very useful for a woman to ask. It might be very useful for a guy to ask too, but most of the guys I know generally don't really care about the career. Although, I typically ask women early on, do you love your job? Before I ask them what the job is. And that's because if they say, nah, then I just say, okay, well, let's not talk about that. We'll talk about something else. But if a girl says, yeah, I love my job, then it's like, okay, cool. Let me hear about it, because if they don't love their job, then there's not very much value in talking about it because it's probably just something she's doing to make some money. And it doesn't really say that much about who she is as a person. But that's just one example. But if you're a guy and you think that a woman's career is important, then, maybe even if she doesn't love her job, you would ask about it. So it depends, once again, on your preference.